This is Dr. Gertis. I am so sorry because I could have done this last week, but I was waiting until I had the blended 610 class in class, and I recorded. And unfortunately, the SD card was full, and it didn't record my overview of the syllabus. So I went over it with them. We kind of skipped over the course description and rationale and all those kind of things because it's kind of boilerplate. We talked about the books that you need. You need the ebook, you need the textbook and the case studies book. You also need or needed for Wednesday's due date of the Elements of Style. I guess it's today. The Elements of Style for the graduate writing test or quiz. You needed that as well. Let me scroll down to, I want to scratch where you itch, and that is that it's not just, do these assignments, but when we get down to the live management simulation, let me tell you all about it. So the objective is to design this 4-day leadership seminar based on the contributions of the 54th and 55th Massachusetts. So the background here is that we work with uh, I've done something very similar to this before. Campus Crusade for Christ is now Cru. They're renamed, like the YMCA is now the Y. So Cru is actually going to be hosting a conference like this here in February, and we're going to create as best of a conference that we can and hand over what we create to them working with this nonprofit. And so it's they're working down a similar path. They're not going to necessarily, we're not doing the work for them. They are already structuring it. So what we're trying to do is try to structure as awesome as we can, so that, hey, if they like bits or pieces or most of whatever, they can just take these ideas. So this is called a live management simulation. This is real. You are really creating this seminar. You don't have to market it. You don't have to bring people here, but this is really happening. So the focus is a Christian-based seminar for professional leadership development based on the actions of these units. And really what you're trying to do is leadership in the midst of a somewhat awkward diversity, because this is set in the Civil War at a time where freed slaves are coming down to fight where there's still slavery. So it's diversity as we're dealing with it. This is diversity on steroids, and how to deal with and the interactions with and that kind of thing. The people, so the online sections of both classes, of both the online section and the residential class, will work together on this project. So the upside of that is that you have less things that you have to do, but you need more coordination. While many hands make lighter work, there's a lot of ground to cover. You'll have to coordinate your efforts, and the residential class has already started to coordinate. It's to be held in downtown Charleston and use the events, Fort Wagner, Fort Sumter, Magnolia Plantation, things like that, as the textbook. So actually, you'll go to these places and talk about what occurred there. So the deliverables, you'll map out the lessons, the itinerary, the comprehensive instructor's manual, and again, we're going to provide that to our nonprofit partners. You will develop a plan that will, give me break-even estimates at 5, 10, 15, or if you want to do it every point, depending on how many, that's fine too. You will not need to market it. Like I said, the guests will arrive on Tuesday and they'll be there till Saturday, but you want to also make provision for those who are sticking around an extra day where they might want to worship. Along the way, they're going to learn lots of things. You can't exceed $700. That is your, how much you can spend per head in order to make sure that you break even. Okay, so that's pretty much it. They'll be expected to watch Glory beforehand, and you'll talk about certain cast of characters like Robert Gould Shaw and Carney and Hollowell and Emilio and Higginson. So if you're not familiar with those names, you should be by now. You'll talk about how the 54th and 55th mustered in Massachusetts and storming Fort Sumter with the battle that started off the Civil War, storming Fort Wagner, the additional battles that took place in and around. The 55th was on one of the plantations here locally, those kind of things. So you want to talk about all those backgrounds. Now, you need to understand, you need to break up these books. So here's a number of things that you need to start reading, and you need to start organizing. Now, if you read these things, the lessons will start to emerge as you're starting to think about this. As you're thinking about the course material and these books, the lessons will start to emerge. But you need to break yourself up into logical categories. Now, in class the other day, I said, okay, so here's what I would recommend for department managers. research, seminar program, instructor manual, site visit coordinator, logistics, and editing. Now, I also told them this. I want a president in one class and a vice president in another. So they have a president over there. So somebody who comes from your online section will be the vice president, but essentially the head of everyone in online land. Okay? And then for each department, if you have somebody over research, I don't care if the department head in research is from the online or the residential section, you'll have a redundant assistant director of that from the other class. And then you can coordinate who fits where and why and how. Okay, so if they haven't already reached out to you, that's essentially the up and down of this. So this is all I'm going to provide you right now, just this overview. If you have questions, we have a class president now who is John O. He's up to speed on everything here, and we will work through this. And I am so sorry. I could have sent this out last week, but I was waiting until I did a much more elaborate version in class, and unfortunately the best laid plans, well, it kind of fell apart. Okay, so thank you, and we will talk more shortly. Bye-bye.